It's Friday night. Oh yes, it is Strictly Sports. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Flair here for another edition of Strictly Sports. Coming to you live from East Providence, Rhode Island, and Michael Bolig will be joining us a little late. Not sure exactly when he'll be here, but when he comes in, we'll just simply catch him on what he missed. That's how we always do it here. I'm joined by a girl. I'm F. Michael Fletcher, and I guess we could call this the season premiere here because we've been doing the football thing for all these months, and now we have the this is the show that's going to mark the return of the news topics, and this will be going on for the next 7+ months, unless we have special edition shows down the road. So very simply put, on this docket tonight, we're going to be getting into the NFL coaching carousel. We'll also be getting into Jabril Peppers of Michigan declaring for the NFL draft, the UConn women's basketball team breaking their own winning streak, a couple of boxing topics there. Floyd Mayweather, should he go up against Conor McGregor? Canelo Alvarez to go up against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And then our big double main event, the preview of this weekend's NFL Conference Championships and the NBA, and our first of our bi-weekly NBA Power Rankings. So with that being said, let's dive on in. The coaching carousel in the NFL. We've got some new hires, including a new hire in Buffalo. My team, the Buffalo Bills, they found their man. We have a new head coach, and his name is Sean McDermott. And on top of that, we also have a new head coach in the Chargers, of the now Los Angeles Chargers. And he used to work for my Buffalo Bills, Anthony Lynn. He's now the new man in Los Angeles. And of course, some teams have hired. So here's what we know so far. Kyle Shanahan, the who actually is the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, is going to be interviewing for the San Francisco 49ers head coaching position, and which is very interesting. So as of right now, we have I believe 5 new hires. Like I said, former Bills interim coach and offensive coordinator Anthony Lynn has agreed to a 4-year deal to be the Chargers' new head coach. The other Los Angeles team, the Rams, have hired former Redskins offensive coordinator Sean McVay as their next head coach. And just bear with me for a minute here as I try to. All right. Okay. And the Denver Broncos. Of course, I already mentioned about Sean McDermott going to Buffalo, and the Denver Broncos have named Dolphins defensive coordinator Vance Joseph as their new head coach, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have removed the interim tag off of Doug Marrone. Doug Marrone is now their new head coach, and as far as the openings are concerned, like I said, San Francisco looking for a new head coach, and they're going to be interviewing. They're going to be interviewing Kyle Shanahan from Atlanta once Atlanta's season is over. But barring an unforeseen change of heart on either side, Shanahan will eventually be signed to a multi-year contract. So we already know who's been fired. Jeff Fisher fired from the Rams. Gus Bradley was fired from Jacksonville. Rex Ryan in Buffalo. Mike McCoy, the Chargers. Chip Kelly in the Niners. And Gary Kubiak, of course, retiring because of medical reasons. So yeah, a lot to digest. And here's here we go. So we already know about Anthony Lynn going to the Chargers. Sean McVay is the new head coach of the Rams. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reported it. And he also reports that the Rams have also agreed to terms with Wade Phillips to be the team's new defensive coordinator. And he's also reporting that former Redskins defensive coordinator Joe Barry is going to be joining that Rams staff. And he'll be the team's assistant head coach and linebackers coach. Ex-Jaguars offensive coordinator Greg Olson is taking over as the team's quarterback coach. The Bills have hired Sean McDermott to be their new head coach. And linebackers coach Al Holcomb will likely be joining McDermott in Buffalo as defensive coordinator, according to NFL Network's Mike Garofalo. Secondary coach Steve Wilks has been promoted to defensive coordinator in Carolina. And the Bills have announced that they've agreed with Rick Dennison to be the team's offensive coordinator. And they also considered Brad Childress out of Kansas City. Vance Joseph is the new head man in Denver. Broncos offensive staff have also hired former Chargers head coach Mike McCoy as new offensive coordinator and former Raiders OC Bill Musgrave as quarterbacks coach, and linebackers coach Matt Burke will replace Vance Joseph as the defensive coordinator in Miami. And Broncos also announced that they have promoted defensive backs coach Joe Woods to defensive coordinator. In Jacksonville, they removed the interim tag off of Doug Marrone. They also hired Tom Coughlin to be the executive vice president and they also extended general manager Dave Caldwell's contract. And both Coughlin and Caldwell are under contract through 2019. Todd Wash will serve as the Jaguars' defensive coordinator. Jacksonville has also hired Perry Fewell as its secondary coach, and the team also announced that Tyrone Wheatley is going to be the running backs coach, and Keenan McCardell from the early days in Jacksonville, he's going to be the wide receivers coach. So we're only following the head coaching and moves and the teams that, any other moves that particular team's staff has made. So yeah, they all seem to be good hires. I mean, I'm definitely going to be interesting to see what Sean McDermott can bring to the table. I mean, the Bills' defense has been an issue, and I think he's the guy that can definitely fix that. Of course, they also need some work offensively too. And Rick Dennison, I hear he's got a good track record, and Steve Wilks, or I should say Al Holcomb. I definitely like the moves for Buffalo, and I'm hoping that this is the guy that can snap the long drought that Buffalo has endured when it comes to lack of postseason appearances. It's been 18 years since the Bills have seen postseason football, and last time Buffalo saw postseason football, of course, was the infamous Music City Miracle, which Bills fans, including myself, to this day still call it the Music City screw job, but it is what it is there. Denver hiring Vance Joseph. This is a great move as well. I mean, I know MF probably is not too thrilled about it because I know he liked what Vance Joseph did with the defense down there in Miami. One of the main reasons why the Dolphins made the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. McCoy as the offensive coordinator, that could be good too because I heard McCoy is a good OC, and he could be one of those guys that could be a better coordinator than head coach and anything else. And then in LA, Anthony Lynn. We'll see. I mean, I don't know much about Anthony Lynn. I really don't. I mean, he took over as offensive coordinator after Greg Roman was fired in Buffalo just after week 2, and the offense got better, but But eventually Rex got fired, and that's what led to Lynn getting the interim tag and that horrific final game against the Jets, and Sean McVay and with the Rams. I believe I heard he's going to be now the youngest head man in the game right now, and Wade Phillips is going to be the defensive coordinator. That's a phenomenal move. I mean, I love Wade Phillips's work. I mean, speaking of guys who are better off as coordinators than head coaches, there's a guy right there. I mean, even though he did have some success in Buffalo after Marv Levy left, but no, we saw the track record he had in Denver. So, if anybody can turn around that god awful defensive unit, that's the guy that can do it. And Joe Barry will be working with the linebackers, so that should be interesting. And Greg Olson, not to be confused with the Carolina Panthers tight end, he's going to be the team's quarterbacks coach. So that's going to be some interesting. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens in LA. And Doug Marrone, new full-time head coach. They removed the interim tag, and I'm definitely okay with that. I mean, Doug Marrone, we saw what he did in Jacksonville. I mean, his team single-handedly knocked the Tennessee Titans out of the postseason mix on Christmas Eve, and Tom Coughlin, we saw what he did in New York with the Giants, winning a couple Super Bowls, a lot of postseason appearances, and he was the man who pretty much started the Jacksonville. He was the first head coach of that team, and had some early success in the 90s, and I think he can definitely be he's definitely going to be a godsend down there. And then you have McCardell, who's going to be the wide receivers coach. I mean, we all know Keenan McCardell. We all know his track record in Jacksonville. He was part of those Jaguar teams that was so fun to watch in the 90s, along with Mark Brunell and Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith. So we'll see about that. And Tyrone Wheatley, the running backs coach, and Perry Fewell, another former Buffalo guy, working with the secondary, and Todd Wash, know nothing about him. I've never heard of him, but he's going to be the DC. So we'll see what happens. They're under contract for the next couple of years. So some very interesting moves indeed when it comes to the coaching carousel. And of course, with San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan could be the next head man, but contract with Atlanta, and Atlanta's season's not over yet. And of course, we all know, due to NFL rules, the two sides cannot formally agree to a deal until after the Falcons season is over. But barring an unforeseen change of heart on either side, Shanahan will eventually be signed to a multi-year deal. So that's all I can say about that. And if he does go to San Francisco, that could be a good move for them. So after getting rid of Chip Kelly after 1 year. So we'll see what happens. And Louis Riddick could be the new general manager. Of course, he currently works for ESPN. I mean, you can usually see him on that NFL Insider show in the afternoons. And he could be the GM. So, he interviewed for that job this past Tuesday. And who knows? I'm thinking he's probably going to be the new GM. And I hear he has a pretty good track record. So, because he worked in Philadelphia and Washington before. And they also interviewed Chris Ballard for the GM job and everything else. So yeah. In Washington, I believe they still have Jay Gruden, but Greg Minuski could be the DC. They also interviewed Rob Ryan and Gus Bradley and Mike Pettin. So I don't know. A lot of interesting things coming out of this, indeed. So I mean, I really don't know what else there is to say, except I'm just going to bring MF in, Michael Fletcher. So all right, MF, I want to get you on. I want to get you in here now. You heard all the moves. in the coaching carousel. So, any of these, basically, I just want to know: do any of these stand out to you? Any you like? Any you don't like? I mean, I know you're probably not too thrilled about losing your team's DC, Vance Joseph, who's now going to be the head man in Denver. So, so with all that being said, as soon as you're ready to go, I definitely want to see what you think about all these moves right now in the coaching carousel until any new ones come in. So that's all I have. So MF, whenever you're ready, just let me know, and we'll get your thoughts on the coaching carousel. Your mic's muted. So, all right. So what do we think about all this?
Well, as far as the moves go with all the new coaches and everything else, now mhm, well, I'm just gonna say this is that look, don't get me wrong, I do like some of the moves, not all of them. I think the one for Denver, the Vance Joseph, okay, don't get me wrong. What he did in Miami was great, but I think a lot of Dolphin fans were actually relieved to see that this guy went. And because I think Denver made a humongous mistake, and I think they're going to regret it at the end of the day. Um, Defensively, I think he'll do better. The problem is, defensively, Miami was a liability last year or this past season, and it was very evident. I think if you saw the game against Pittsburgh on Wild Card Weekend, I don't know how on earth he ended up getting a job. I think Denver might be in for a world of hurt next season, at least in my eyes. So we'll wait and see. As far as Buffalo goes, I mean, it was a good hire. I don't know much about them though, and a lot of them are really unknowns because they don't really have that big of a track record. They're more coordinators than anybody else. Um, I think the Coughlin thing being a special advisor is a good idea, but I'm not really holding too much stock in it because he's been out of the game for how many years now. So, I mean, it's all just wait and see and a bunch of holding patterns more than anything else. But that's all I can really say right now. I'm sorry to say, Anthony. I wish I could give you more, but I can't really.
No worries. I mean, I didn't really have much thought on it myself. So with that being said, we're just gonna move into our next the next item on our docket. And I know you probably have a lot to say about this, MF, considering this is a Michigan guy we're about to get into. Jabril Peppers. You remember Jabril Peppers? I mean, who captivated the country with his dynamism and versatility on his way to becoming a Heisman Trophy finalist this season. Told Sports Illustrated 10 days ago that he's going to be leaving Michigan to declare for the NFL draft. And he projects as a safety and return specialist in the NFL, where he is expected to be a first-round pick. So, MF, I mean, I know you probably got a lot to say about this, considering Jabril Peppers was one of the main reasons why Michigan had one of their best years in a very long time. And for the longest time, were in that playoff mix until that demoralizing loss to Iowa. So your thoughts about your boy, Jabril Peppers? I mean, I know how high you were on this young man.
Yeah, don't even get me. Hello. Yeah, don't even get me started about that one. To say the very least, that was just a demoralizing thing, and yeah, that it really ruined my season and really broke my heart in the way how that ended up. Jabril Peppers was an all-around player. I mean, it didn't matter what type of position he was in. It didn't matter if he, defensively, kick returning. He even played out as a wide receiver on a few plays as well. So he definitely is a dynamic player, a game changer. I think he could be a safety or a corner, a kick returner, no doubt about it, because he was very undersized. He was a very undersized man, but the way he played like an elite player, and that's really what you can get added Peppers. So no, as a matter of fact, I don't know if it was Todd McShay or I think it was Todd McShay on ESPN actually ranked him in the 15th slot. That actually would have him going to the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens are looking for a defensive player. Definitely somebody to shore up their secondary. That would be a great pickup for them. So, like I said, Peppers was an amazing player. You saw the unfortunate incident that he suffered that injury just before the Orange Bowl game, and you saw how dynamic of a player he is, and that loss that because he did not play in that injury, you saw what happened. The defense of Michigan got lit up by Florida State in that game. So so you can definitely tell how unbelievable, how amazing he is just as a player alone. But hopefully he'll be at 100%. If he does do the pro day or the combine, hopefully he does really good. And who knows, if he dominates in the combine, who knows, he might sneak into the top 10, top 5. So I mean, he's that dynamic of a player. He is amazing, a game changer to say the very least. And there's really nothing more to say. So Anthony, definitely jump in on this. It's all yours.
Very dynamic young man indeed. I mean, he earned a reputation as one of the elite players in college football in 2016 after switching from defensive back to a hybrid safety linebacker. According to Michigan, he lined up in 15 different positions on his 933 snaps this season, including quarterback, tailback, and receiver. On defense, he also logged time at nickelback, safety, and cornerback. Also led the Big Ten in punt return yards and averaged 4 more yards per return than any other player in the league with a minimum of 10 returns. He ultimately came to a decision 10 plus days ago while visiting his family in his native New Jersey. And he informed Jim Harbaugh of his decision in a meeting in Harbaugh's office. And he thanked me, and he said he thanked me and told me it was a pleasure to coach me. And he said in return, it was a pleasure to play for him. And he molded me for the next level, and that's how he operates. Runs his program like an NFL team, and he's done more than enough to prepare him for the moment. And yeah, McShay, like Fletcher said, has Peppers ranked as a top 10 prospect in the draft, considered one of the best defensive prospects. His versatility will trigger debates about which position he should play at the next level. And a scout who tracked Peppers extensively said he was his favorite player to watch this year. And there's a lot of questions about what position he'll play and how fast he is. But he's a tough hombre who I would want on my team for sure. No doubt about it. So, and he acknowledges that same versatility that made him such a unique college player. It could also be used against him in the draft process. In 2015, playing primarily defensive back, he finished with 10 pass breakups. And this year, as more of a linebacker, finished with 15.5 tackles for a loss. And he finished his career with 1 interception, which came in the final regular season game against Ohio State. And he said he welcomes questions from NFL franchises and understands how much teams will be investing in him. And he said his position switched last year and inhibited him from working in pass coverage as much as he'd have liked to. And he took full responsibility for not putting forth his best coverage on tape this season. And he said that he flashed much better coverage skills during his redshirt freshman season when he worked primarily as a defensive back. And he looks forward to refining that part of his game. And 6 foot, 208 pounder, clocked the hand time sub 440, 4.4, 40-yard dash last summer. And he recorded this year and Jim Harbaugh said that he would run faster than 4.4 at the combine. And Peppers is a 2-time state track champion at a Paramus Catholic in New Jersey. He doesn't think speed's going to be a question. He just wants to show the guys that he has great hips and can run with receivers. And along with thanking Harbaugh, he went out of his way to thank former Michigan coach Brady Hoke and his staff for recruiting him. And he also mentioned the tough love of strength coach Kevin Tolbert, the guidance of director of athletic counseling Greg Harden, and the support of former high school coach and current assistant at Michigan Chris Partridge. And also mentioned the support of his teammates, professors, and Michigan fans. He said it was one of the hardest things he's ever had to do, not just because he loves it, not just because of his love for Michigan, but the guys around him, the fans, and the school. And he felt like he was cheated out of the college experience getting hurt his freshman year and really only played 2 years for the university that he loves. He said that he's declaring for the draft. He said that declaring for the draft begins a process of proving himself all over again, and he's ready to attack the challenge. And now that it's here, it's surreal. And it's not, and he's not going to take the opportunity for granted. And he realizes it's time to work harder than he ever did and show folks what he's made of. And I have no doubt about it. He's going to do just that. And there's no doubt about it. I can easily see him going top 10. No doubt about it. So we wish him all the very best with his new endeavor, and we'll definitely be watching come April when the draft goes down. So, all right. Next up, we're going to get into the UConn women's basketball team. And, they've been a fixture in the sport for so many years. And, I mean, they are without question the most dominant team in the history of women's college basketball. And if you can believe what this team has been doing as of late, I mean, they've won 92 games in a row. I mean, if you can believe that. They broke their own record. Their last game, I believe, was Tuesday when they went up to Tulsa and beat them by 40 points. I mean, I've gone on to make jokes about how nowadays the NCAA women's basketball tournament is called the UConn Invitational, because all the other teams are just there to, basically serve as doormats for them. And I mean, 92 wins in a row. I mean, wow. I mean, they're a dynasty. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, ever since Gino Auriemma got there, I mean, this team has just been unreal. They've won all these championships, and say what you want about Gino Auriemma. I know he's had some controversial moments in his tenure, but to break your own record, I mean, to have the longest winning streak in the history of the sport, 92 in a row, it just goes to show you how dominant this team is. I mean, nobody's even come close to beating this team. And they keep winning and winning and winning, and they win all these championships and the whole 9 yards. And it's just so impressive what this group of young women has done for this team. And Gino Auriemma, I mean, in all the years he's been there, I mean, he's been there. He's been with the school since 1985, and 11 national championships, including the last 4 in a row. 2012 was the last time a school other than UConn won the women's national championship, which is mind-boggling. And I'm just trying to see who was that other team that won it in 2012. And
I think it was Baylor. I think it's the Baylor Bears the Baylor Lady Bears. I think they won the national championship.
I think you're right, MF.
Because I think that was
12. Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, you are right. It was Baylor. That year in 2012, the UConn ladies lost in. I think this was also, and I'm pretty sure this is also the last time they lost a game. It was that Final Four, April 1st of 2012, which was the same night as WrestleMania 28. They lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame beat them 83-75 in overtime. And then Baylor, of course, beat Notre Dame for the national championship 2 nights later, 80-61. So yeah, I mean, which is unreal. And well, actually, no, that's not the last time they lost a game. Their last loss came during the 2014-15 season, and it was their only loss that year. And that was to the well, actually, I don't know who that was to, but I do know the last time we saw an L next to the UConn women's name was in was during the 2014-15 season. And oh, okay, I got it now. It was to it was against the Stanford Cardinal. Okay, Stanford Cardinal on November 17th of 2014. They lost to the Stanford Cardinal 88-86 in overtime in Stanford, and I'm pretty sure that was their last loss. And I believe they have not lost a game since, and which is very much impressive. And from regular season, the conference tournament, the tournament itself. I mean, that was only the second game of that season. They were 1-1, and then they closed out that year, winning 37 in a row, and then the following year they go undefeated. They were unbeat last year, 38-0, ran the table, won the national championship, and that was 75 in a row. And I believe they currently stand at 17-0, which makes it 92 in a row. And that's just so impressive. And their last game was against Tulsa. Yes, it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on this past Tuesday. Their next game will be on Sunday afternoon at 1:00 on ESPN2 when they go up against Tulane at home. Remember, they play in the American Athletic Conference now. They're no longer in the Big East. And as I look at their remaining schedule, I really don't see any real threats left. I really don't see any threats, honestly. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up running the table and then the conference tournament. They should have no trouble with that whatsoever. I don't think we're going to see them get tested again until the NCAA tournament. Probably not until like around Elite Eight, Final Four level. So I'm just going to basically say it right now. Until I see otherwise, how can you go against them? I still think they're going to be the team to beat this year. No doubt about it. And quite frankly, I really don't know who can beat them. Honestly, I don't. So 92 in a row. I'm just so impressed with this team. And quite frankly, I'm just going to go on the record and say it. I think they're going to win it all again this year. I really do. And who in the world knows when this team will ever lose a game again, because that is how dominant they have been. Just like Alabama in football, that wasn't until Clemson knocked them off in that epic championship game. And we've seen all these dominant streaks in the history of sports. I mean, the UCLA men's, on the men's side, it's the UCLA men with the John Wooden, who won 88 games in a row in the 70s. I believe that's the longest streak on the men's side. And and everything else. So, and I believe the Lakers in 1972 won 33 in a row in the NBA. I believe that's the longest streak in that sport. And the Patriots in the NFL won well over 20 games in a row, and regular season games, that is. So all these winning streaks in the history of sports, and who knows how long this can go on. This is going to go well over 100, and I really don't see any team knocking them off until possibly the NCAA tournament in a couple of months. Probably, like I said, probably right around the regionals, or maybe even the Final Four, because that's really when they're going to get tested. So all in all, so impressed with this team. Like I said, 92 in a row. Congratulations to these young ladies and Geno Auriemma. So I really don't know what else there is to say except MF. Are these UConn women ever going to lose a game again? I honestly don't know.
Man, you wonder if they ever are gonna or not. And you know what it is that when you got a good thing going and you're that dominant and you're that amazing, the question does abound. Is there ever going to be a time where a team's going to lose or something like it, and they just continue to win? You don't know. That's just the brilliance of a coach, you know? You can bring in young kids, make them gel even better than a well-formed team, and it's just they got the magic. That's all you can say. It's like in college football, like you said, that's the Alabama. You know, Alabama had that. Unfortunately, this year they're not the champions. It is Clemson. But when great teams knows how to put things together, make them look great, and when you do that, the sky's the limit. You know, we were talking about, and the only other team that you can say who had that kind of level of success or greatness would be way back when Tennessee was doing this with the late Pat Summitt. And that's another team that just knew how to win, play with the system that they had, believe in the system, buy into the system, and everything came out great. So, I mean, um, other than Tennessee, I've never seen dominance at this kind of level other than UConn, and they just keep getting better and better year in and year out. And what it is that you have that belief that you could win a championship. And when you go to Storrs, Connecticut, you always have to have that belief. Gio Auriemma, for whatever reason, he is literally, other than Pat Summitt, he is one of the greatest coaches in women's college hoops. I mean, Gino and Pat Summitt is literally 1-2 of the Mount Rushmore. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So, until you knock them off, they're number one. There's nothing to say, Anthony. Let's move on.
And now we're going to get into an area of MF's expertise here. There's a couple of boxing stories here. The first one being, should Floyd Mayweather go up against Conor McGregor in the near future? And the other, Canelo Alvarez going up against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So MF, I want to get you back in here. Floyd Mayweather, should Floyd Mayweather go up against Conor McGregor? I mean, I know there's been a lot of hullabaloo about the two of them possibly throwing down, but there's financial arrangements, of course, money arrangements, of course, play a big factor in that, and then of course the big fight that you were telling me about, which I believe is going to be coming up right around Cinco de Mayo weekend, I believe you said, or sometime around that time, when Alvarez and Cesar Chavez Jr. square off. So MF, I'm just gonna throw this to you. Should Floyd Mayweather go up against Conor McGregor? Yes or no?
It really depends on what Floyd wants to do. I think the way that it sounds is Floyd is doing what Floyd always does, trying to talk about, well, it's about the money more than anything else, and this and that. And he's saying, well, Connor needs to get out of the UFC contract if we're going to do this. Dana White's like, you know what, Connor is under us. You want to fight Connor? I'll give you $25 million to fight Connor, but it's going to be under MMA rules. Now, Floyd will never do that. That's like, if Floyd tries to fight Connor in a UFC octagon, Floyd's going to get killed. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's going to be the biggest mistake of Floyd's life, to get into the MMA ring. But a lot of people believe that if Connor fights Floyd in a boxing ring, that Floyd is going to destroy Connor. Now, there's a little bit of debate if that's really going to be the case or not. But, it is what it is. At the end of the day, you just have to wait and see how it goes down. But it's more logistical. It's more money. But is it really a desire? Do they really want to do this fight? That's really the $1 million question. Is it just a lot of squawking too? It could also be that as well. I don't know. I'm not really gonna harp too hardcore about this. I just don't know if there's enough interest in there. But is it gonna happen? Wait and see. And would it even perk my interest if the fight actually does happen? We were so excited for the fight of the century, which was Pacquiao versus Mayweather, and it turned out to be a boring fight. So I don't know what happens there. So, like I said, jury's out to lunch on that. Let's say that.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. I mean, we wanted Mayweather against Pacquiao, and look what happened. It ended up being an absolute dud. It ended up disappointing everybody. I mean, we did that. I mean, the only good thing that came out of that was that big special edition of Strictly Sports that we did, where Jimmy Alden actually joined us. And, it was, I think that'll go down as the greatest Strictly Sports broadcast of all time, because it was a very successful show, no question about that. But we know Conor McGregor. We know Conor McGregor, a household name in the UFC. I know MF was there at Dave & Buster's when he won that fight as part of UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden. I mean, and then something happened after that. And all right, MF's going to step away for a minute, so don't be too long. But nonetheless, yeah. And we know Floyd Mayweather. We know his track record. I mean, unbeaten, never lost a fight. And we talk about it with the UConn women. I mean, Floyd Mayweather has never lost. I mean, who knows if he will ever lose a fight? I mean, he's not getting any younger either. I mean, it would be a battle of two of the biggest egomaniacs in the world of sports today. I mean, they're both big mouth. They both have big mouths. And, I mean, I know there would be a lot of folks who would love to see it. But me personally, I really don't know if I want to see it. I mean, it would be interesting, whether it's in a boxing ring a la Mayweather or in the octagon a la McGregor. So, but nonetheless, though, it should be most interesting to see what happens when and if those two ever throw down and get together. So yeah, I mean, the buzz would be there, but just how much buzz would it generate? I mean, and if it were to happen, I mean, would it be would it outdraw the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, or would it be a flop just like that one was? I don't know, but like MF said, Jerry's out to lunch for me, so that's really all I can say on that. So now I'm just gonna wait until MF comes back in, and we'll get MF's thoughts on our other big boxing story, and I know he's got a lot to say on when it comes to the upcoming fight with Canelo Alvarez squaring off against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He told me that was going to be going down sometime in May, and I definitely want to get his thoughts on that, considering he is our boxing guru here when it comes to Strictly Sports and all that. But and then as soon as we do that, then we'll move on to our double main event of the evening. Of course, the two big games coming up this weekend, which we're very much looking forward to. Two big conference championship games in the NFL. I mean, I haven't felt an excitement about conference championship weekend. I haven't felt this kind of excitement in a long, long time. And I'm very excited about both games, and I cannot wait to dive into both of these games. But we do have one more order of business to get into, and that is Canelo Alvarez. Okay, MF's back in. Okay, very good. All right, MF, perfect timing, because we're going to get into the other big story out of the world of boxing, and I know you probably got a lot to say about this. Canelo Alvarez squaring off against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So put on your Max Kellerman Biggie cap here, because here you are our Max Kellerman after all when it comes to the boxing. So Alvarez against Cesar Chavez Jr. What do we think about this upcoming fight?
I mean, I think this is going to be an interesting match. No doubt about it. Canelo Alvarez is just far and away one of the best fighters in the world right now. One of the top pound for pound fighters in the world. No doubt about that. And, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the son of the legendary fighter himself, he's been good for the most part, but he has hit a little bit of a rough patch lately, lost a couple of fights recently, but he's also been in trouble with had some trouble as well, because of the fact that he has actually been suspended a couple of times along the way, because of the fact that Chavez Jr., I should say, has had a little bit of some issues in his career as it pertains to basically a couple of fights that he won no contest because he failed a drug test. Actually, failed the drug test in 2009, and that really affected the legacy, everything else, and the whole 9 yards. He's won the last two fights. He lost the belt recently. He also lost a fight to Sergio Mora, who was the Sergio Martinez, and at the time Sergio Martinez was one of the baddest dudes in all of boxing. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say. It's a legacy fight. It's a legendary fight, more than anything else, in the middleweight division, and now he's going to be going up against Azul Canelo Alvarez. And Canelo, like I said, he's one of the biggest fighters in the world right now. He's one of the biggest guys right now in boxing. The one that, and 48-1-1 in his career. I mean, the last few fights have been dominating performances. I mean, a knockout of Amir Khan, which a lot of people didn't think was going to happen, but he did. Then he TKO'd Liam Smith in his last fight out in the 9th round. So now you got two big victories under your belt. Plus, he also He beat Miguel Cotto. He beat James Kirkland. Those are two other huge names in the division. So, um, the only loss in his career that he's ever lost was actually, believe it or not, to Floyd Mayweather. Lost the fight by majority draw, but he lost to Mayweather, and that's the only loss that he's ever suffered. Of course, there's gonna be a mega fight coming up down the line, where he is supposed to fight. Actually, he's supposed to fight Yanni Golovkin, aka Triple G, later this year. That fight's actually going to happen in September. They actually officially announced it, and that's going to be the mega fight. That's a fight that the whole world's been waiting for. Some people are calling it even bigger than Mayweather Pacquiao. That's how big this fight is going to be. We'll wait and see what happens later on. So we'll see. But I think Canelo Alvarez is just a far more better fighter than Chavez Jr. I really don't have much hope on that fight, though. And for it to be at Cinco de Mayo weekend from Paradise, Nevada, aka the brand new T-Mobile Arena, right on the border of the Las Vegas Strip. So we'll wait and see what happens. It's going to be a good fight, no doubt about it. But I can't wait for May 6th. May 6th, 2017, Cinco de Mayo weekend is when that fight's going down, and it's going to be entertaining, to say the very least. So with that said, Anthony, let's move on to the next thing.
You ready for the double main event?
Let's
because
do
that's
it.
what it is. And we're going to start it off with the preview of the NFC Championship game, which will take place this Sunday afternoon. Kickoff scheduled for shortly after 3 o'clock. This game will be on Fox from the Georgia Dome, the final time from the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia. The number 4 seed Green Bay Packers squaring off against the number 2 seed Atlanta Falcons for the right to go to Super Bowl 51 in Houston. Packers got here by holiday hamming the New York Giants 38-13 in the wild card round, and then knocking off the Dallas Cowboys in one of the greatest divisional playoff games in history, 34-31 in Dallas. And then Falcons only had to play in the divisional round, and they took care of the Seattle Seahawks, knocked them off 36-20 to get to this point. This game will be on Fox. Of course, you know who's working this game. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews, Chris Myers. They'll be in the Georgia Dome for this NFC Championship game. The final game that will ever take place inside the confines of the Georgia Dome before the Falcons move into their beautiful new Mercedes-Benz Stadium this upcoming fall. The spread, one spread has Atlanta by 4, and my other 3 spreads all have Atlanta favored by 5.5. So they're between 4 to 5.5 in favor of the Falcons. They met earlier this season in the Georgia Dome back on October 30th, and the Falcons winning a wild and crazy shootout, 33-32. And they've met in the postseason 3 times, actually. 1995, they met in the wild card round at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, and the Green Bay Packers won that game by a score of 37-20. They met in the same round in 2002, also at Lambeau, but it was the Atlanta Falcons that won that game 27-7. And their last meeting came in 2010 in the NFC divisional playoff, where the Green Bay Packers just absolutely pounded the Atlanta Falcons 48-21 in the Georgia Dome. So it's a 2-1 series, postseason series lead for the Green Bay Packers against the Atlanta Falcons. So, and of course, no weather to report on, seeing that this game is going to be indoors in the Georgia Dome. So, oh man. Defense wins championships. That's the old adage. And it's about to be turned on its head by either the Green Bay Packers or the Atlanta Falcons. The Packers finished 21st in points allowed. The Falcons finished 27th. And yet one of them will win the NFC Championship on Sunday in Atlanta. The victor will be playing in Super Bowl 51, and it figures to be a battle of brilliant quarterbacks, Atlanta's Matt Ryan and Green Bay's Aaron Rodgers, who decide this one. Behind Ryan, the Falcons have scored 71 more points than any other team in the NFL. Ryan's 117.1 passer rating not only led the NFL, but was the fifth best in NFL history. He threw for 4,944 yards with 38 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He topped 100 in passer rating in 12 of 16 regular season games, then did it again against Seattle in the divisional round. The Falcons entered the game on a 5-game winning streak. Ryan has 14 touchdown passes and no interceptions during the 5-game streak. It started way back in February in terms of his intent for the offseason, the way he was going to set it off. He had some things in his own game that he wanted to improve upon, and honestly, it carried over all the way through OTAs into training camp. Not to be outdone, Aaron Rodgers has led the Packers to eight consecutive wins. Through the first quarter of the season, Rodgers ranked toward the bottom of the league in completion percentage and yards per attempt, but he has been unstoppable as of late. During this winning streak, Rodgers has posted a 117.9 passer rating with 298 yards per game, 68.9% accuracy, 21 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. For the season, Rodgers threw for 4,428 yards with 40 touchdowns to lead the league and only 7 interceptions. Both teams will need huge efforts from their quarterbacks in what could turn into a shootout. They'll be attacking what are at times poor defenses. Green Bay finished 31st in pass defense, while Atlanta was not much better at 26th. Both teams finished in the bottom fourth of the league on third down and in the red zone. Ryan might have the better supporting cast, though. Premier receiver Julio Jones returned to practice on Friday from an ongoing toe injury, and head coach Dan Quinn said he will play without limitations. Jones, who caught 83 passes for 1,409 yards and 6 touchdowns, will gather the bulk of Green Bay's defensive attention, but is surrounded by a flock of gifted weapons. At receiver, Ryan can throw to Mohamed Sanu, who had 59 catches for 653 yards and 4 touchdowns, or Taylor Gabriel, 35 catches, 579 yards, 6 touchdowns. Running backs Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman combined for 85 catches for 883 yards and 5 touchdowns. 3 tight ends combined for 54 more receptions. A league record 10 players caught at least 2 touchdown passes. Moreover, Freeman, who had 1,079 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns, and Coleman, who had 520 yards and 8 touchdowns, combined to power a running attack that finished 5th in the league. Green Bay overcame the absence of Jordy Nelson by scoring 38 points against the Giants and 34 points against the Cowboys, teams that finished in the top 5 in points allowed. Receivers Devontae Adams and Geronimo Allison are also ailing, and McCarthy said Friday that all 3 players are game day decisions. For Rodgers and Ryan, this is another chance at getting to the Super Bowl. Playing at home, the Falcons blew a 24-14 halftime lead and lost to San Francisco 28-24 in the 2012 NFC Championship game. The Packers, who won the Super Bowl in 2010, blew a 16-0 halftime lead and lost at Seattle 28-22 in overtime in the 2014 NFC Championship game. And Aaron Rodgers said, and I quote, "How do you not think about getting to the Super Bowl? We're 60 minutes away from being there again. It's obviously on our minds." All everybody is talking about is that bonkers finish in Arlington as the Packers propelled by that spectacular play by both Aaron Rodgers and Jared Cook. But let's not ignore the home team here. The Falcons got here by smashing the Seahawks at home. Matt Ryan has looked terrific, and you know that the Georgia Dome will be rocking thanks to it being the final game in the building's history. Given both star quarterbacks, we should see plenty of points, so that usually means that this will come down to defense. I have a little more confidence in the defense of Green Bay, and I think that's going to power a road victory here. So with that being said, I'm going with the Green Bay Packers to win this NFC Championship game and advance to Super Bowl 51. Green Bay wins. My final score, 35-31. Green Bay will advance to the Super Bowl. I got to go with my gut. I got to go with the hot hand here. I mean, Green Bay has been white hot ever since Rodgers made that guarantee that they were going to run the table. Green Bay will, for Green Bay, this would be, if they get it, this would be their 6th Super Bowl appearance. In their previous 5, they're 4-1. For Atlanta, this would be, they are seeking only their 2nd Super Bowl appearance in team history. The other, of course, coming back in the 1998 season when they upset the heavily favored Minnesota Vikings in one of the greatest NFC title games of all time, 30-27 in overtime in the old Metrodome in Minneapolis. So, like I said, I got to go with my gut here. My gut is telling me to go with Green Bay. My heart is, and even though my heart is telling me to go with Atlanta, mainly because it's the final game in the Georgia Dome's illustrious history. I mean, we know the Georgia Dome. It hosted a couple of Super Bowls, 28, and of course one of the greatest of all time in 34. A Super Bowl that MF and I had a lot of fun with back in the day because of that bonkers finish down there. It's also hosted Final Fours, numerous playoff games. It also hosted a WrestleMania 27, which was one of the worst of all time, and in the whole 9 yards. So, and of course, SEC championship games and college football bowl games as well. So, what a way for this Georgia Dome to go out. What I consider, what I think is going to be one of the greatest NFC championship games in recent memory. It could make a run for the money to be the greatest of all time. Both quarterbacks are going to have humongous games. Let's not kid ourselves. Rodgers is going to go off. Ryan's going to go off. And as a matter of fact, if I'm going to be real honest with you, I think it's between these two guys for NFL MVP. I really do. Based on the body of work. Only question is who gets it. I think this game will go a long way to determining who will be the NFL MVP. Because like I said, I think it's going to be one of these two guys because of these two bodies of work. So, I'm sure they're going to, and I'm pretty sure Green Bay's going to have all their big names back. They should have Jordy Nelson back, which will be huge for them. But that talented group of receivers, and with how white hot Aaron Rodgers has been, how hot that team has been, I just can't go against them right now. Even though Atlanta's been playing great too, I just think Green Bay right now is by a smidge the better team. So, I have no reason. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. This could go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, NFC championship game of all time. I think this will be a 5-star classic. I think we're going to see a lot of Shakespearean drama at its finest. And no matter who wins this game, the fans in Atlanta, Georgia, and the fans in the Georgia Dome are going to be the ultimate winners because that beautiful venue gets to host one more football game, and I hope they send it out with a game for the ages, no matter who wins, even if the home team does not win. It would be great to see the home team win and send that thing out. I mean, that's the best way you can send out a stadium right there, to have your home team win it in advance to the biggest game of the year. But I got to go with my gut. I got to go with Green Bay. So, man, I'm looking forward to this game. Being an offensive guy who loves offense and plenty of points scored, I'm going to have a hell of a lot of fun watching this game on Sunday afternoon. So 35-31, Green Bay Packers will represent the National Football Conference as its champions in Super Bowl 51. Michael Fletcher, MF, NFC Championship, man. Green Bay, Atlanta. How about it, bud? One last time. We get to do one last game in the cozy confines of the Georgia Dome.
Yeah, it's gonna be raucous. It's gonna be wild. Everybody was like, "How is it gonna be going at the end?" And it's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a great battle, no doubt about it. I think a lot of people are very excited to see how this turns out, how this plays out. What's gonna be the ramifications at the end of the afternoon? Going in, I think a lot of people are thinking that it is probably going to be Green Bay, especially after the way that they put Dallas out, and Dallas was like the best team going in, and now Green Bay looks like they got the hot hand. But let me tell you, not so fast, my friends. Atlanta has the best offense in all, remaining of the 4 teams, the highest powered offense, the highest scoring offense. You saw what they did last week against Seattle, and Seattle was notorious for having one of the best defenses out there, and Atlanta just shredded them. Like, they made mincemeat out of them. So I mean, um, can they do that again? If they do that, you're going to have a track meet. But the one thing that I think gives me the reason why I think Atlanta will win this is, Anthony, you said it. The injury to Jordy Nelson. He's probably not going to play. Then you got 3 other key injuries for Green Bay, and they're all game time decisions. If they don't play, I don't think Green Bay's got a hope and a prayer in this one. Then it makes my decision really easy to say. Then you got Coleman, Freeman, the 2-headed monsters in the running attack. You got Matty Ice, Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and them cats. I think the defense will do just enough just to give them a little bit of a leeway. But I think this is going to be a track meet. I'm sorry, Anthony, I disagree. I actually had the same score, but I got it reversed. 35-31. I got the Atlanta Falcons winning the NFC Championship and going on to Super Bowl 51. So with that said, let's get to the AFC Championship game.
AKA our Super Bowl, if you really think about it, considering that we are AFC guys, MF. And oh boy, did the football gods bless us with one hell of a matchup. I mean, going into this postseason, this was honestly the matchup that I honestly was hoping for. And I guess I get rewarded because this is the game I wanted. I'm sure MF did too, but honestly, I wanted it a little more, and we're going to get it. The Pittsburgh Steelers squaring off against the New England Patriots. 6:40 kickoff on CBS, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Hello, friends. Jim Nantz, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely. They will be in Foxborough for this AFC Championship game. Both of these teams will be seeking their 9th Super Bowl appearance. The Steelers' record in their previous 8 Super Bowl appearances, 6-2. The Patriots, their previous 8 Super Bowl appearances, their record 4-4. So there's that, and just trying to pull up the weather forecast, considering that we are in an outdoor venue. So okay. Before I do that, the spread favors the New England Patriots. They're a 6-point favorite across the board. So they're basically a touchdown favorite here. Both of these teams played earlier this year, back on October 23rd at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, and the New England Patriots won that game by a score of 27-16. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger did not play because the week before he was injured at the hands of Fletcher's Dolphins. So Landry Jones got the start, and it did not go well. They have met in the postseason 4 times, with the New England Patriots leading that series 3-1. First meeting was in 1996. They met in the AFC Divisional Playoff. MF and I should know we covered that game. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, MF, I believe we've covered all 4 of these playoff games that they've had. I remember we did that divisional game at the old Foxborough Stadium. We covered that, which New England won 28-3, and of course they went on to the Super Bowl that year before losing to Green Bay ultimately. The following year in '97, they met in another divisional game at old Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh won that game by a final score of 7-6. Talk about a defensive battle. And then 2001, they met in the AFC Championship game at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. That was the first year of Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. And the Patriots won that game 24-17. You know that story. Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl, the first of their 4 Super Bowls in Super Bowl 36. And then 2004, they met again in the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh on a cold Sunday night. Patriots also won that one. That was a 41-27 final, and New England went on to win their third Super Bowl that year when they beat Philadelphia in Jacksonville. So 3-1 postseason advantage for the New England Patriots. And the weather conditions, we're looking at a kickoff right around 6:30, 7 o'clock. So it's going to be cloudy. Game time temperature, we're looking at around 41 to 42 degrees at kickoff. Game should be ending right around 10 o'clock or so, maybe around 9-ish, 10-ish, or somewhere in that area. There's going to be a few showers, right around 39 to 40 degrees. So it's going to be a little mild. It's going to be a little more on the milder side. I mean, usually at this time of the year, it's usually bone-chilling cold. Well, not in this case. It's going to be right around the upper 30s to low 40s when it comes to the game time weather. So I think I pretty much covered all the schematics here. So there's nothing left for me to say here except MF, I'm going to bring you in. You lead off on this. This is our game. This is our Super Bowl right here. It's well documented. You are the Phil Simms to my Jim Nantz when it comes to this. There's really nothing left for me to say except hello, friends. MF is going to get into. Let's put that Phil Simms analyst hat on, and let's get into our Super Bowl. Pittsburgh, New England, Roethlisberger, Brady. One more time for the right to go to Houston. What do we think?
It is going to be a great matchup. Highly anticipated. The whole world's ready for this one. It's been crazy. The 2184 at Walmart. We got a lot of Steeler fans in there. We got Patriot fans in there. They've been going back and forth for the last few days. People have been wondering, what am I going to say? What is going to be the factor for this game? I'm going to say this. They've been waiting for this, so I'm gonna blare it out right now. For Pittsburgh to win the right to go to the Super Bowl on Sunday night, to win this game, think about what Houston was actually able to do against New England. You know, the mistakes that the Patriots made, the fumbles, basically the interceptions that Brady threw. How did that happen? By putting pressure on Brady, making him uncomfortable in the pocket, and basically trying to shut him down. Shoot the gaps if you can. Basically zone out. Basically play a zone blitz on your 3-4 schemes. But not only that, but have a spy. Have somebody in the middle watching Brady, and try to limit him from going to guys like Edelman, Hogan, Amendola, because if they start getting off, then you got to try to trap the corners. Try to block the middle of the field. If that gets there, then he goes after Bennett. What you got to do is you got to jam these guys at the line. Push them off the routes, make them feel uncomfortable. Use that 5-yard leeway that you're allowed to bump, mash. Get into the guy's face. Bump them out of positioning. If you do that, you're going to be in great position to pull the upset. Then on top of that, on the offensive side of the ball for Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger is really going to have a great game. I don't think he had the best game last Sunday night against Kansas City, and he's got to have to get that type of game. Antonio Brown's going to be very vital in this game. The tight end, Jesse James, is going to be very vital in this game. Not only that, but the other receiving core. You're going to have to step up. You work the middle of the field to try to make that defense from New England, make them work, because what they're going to do is they're going to be stacking the line for one reason and one reason only, to shut down Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell, if you remember in the first game, kind of went a little nuts on New England, and they're going to try to shut him down. So what you're going to have to do is use Le'Veon Bell as a decoy early in the game. Do some play action fakes, roll out, use Ben, big body, to work a little bit. Once you get the New England thinking about the passing game and trying to shut that down, then you open it up for Le'Veon Bell to start running it. And once he gets going, then you got a well-oiled machine going. Then there's nothing stopping Pittsburgh at that point. So let me throw it the flip side. England, how do you win this game? Basically, it's the same formula. Know, your Garrett Blount was not utilized correctly, and I really think New England realizes that. When you use blunt force trauma on any team, that wears down the defense, and when you start wearing the defense down, that's when you open up all the gaps. So basically, I know Brady's going to want to improve on that game because he was really angry about the way he played on Saturday night, and very much so during the press conference. He was very vocal about how bad he played, and even a lot of Patriot fans will admit that Brady had a horrific game on Saturday night against Houston. So what he's going to want to do is to establish early, start gunslinging as always, the dinks, the dunks, the small passes, and that's really the slants, the fades. Those are really plays that New England really relies on. Then you're going to see a lot of Dion Lewis, and I'll even say it. Lewis was really the MVP of the game on Saturday night. Having a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and kick returned all the way to the house. But the thing is, don't make the mistakes. Don't turn the ball over, especially against a team like Pittsburgh, because if you turn it over, Pittsburgh will capitalize. They are not like the Texans, where you can get away with a mistake and maybe hold them to a field goal. No. With Pittsburgh, you make a mistake, you give them an inch, they're going to take the mile. This is going to be a great matchup. This is going to be a great game. It's a war of attrition, battle of the trenches, as we always would say. I thought about this game long and hard. I got to say it. And this is another, Anthony, you know how you were torn in the AFC title with the NFC title, where your head is saying go with one team, your heart's saying go with the other? It's the same thing. My head is saying Pittsburgh, my heart is saying New England. And this is so hard for me to call, but I'm going to go with my heart this time around. I think New England's going to win the game. And as a matter of fact, I'm even going to go one step further. I'm calling for this to end in overtime. That's right. I'm calling for an overtime victory, 30-27. The reason why I'm going this way is this. I think it's going to end up in a 24-24 tie. I think Pittsburgh will get the ball first. They'll get a field goal to extend the overtime, but then New England comes right back down the field. They'll get the game-winning touchdown. They'll win it 30-27 in overtime. Anthony, I give it to you.
Oh man, wow. I would love to see that. I would love to see these two go to OT. No doubt about it. I mean, that would be wow. I mean, if it was anything like what we had just a couple of short weeks ago with that championship game with Clemson and Bama, oh boy, we're in for something really, really special come Sunday nights. So, oh man. So, all right, just let me get my liner notes up here. Okay. Ben Roethlisberger waited 12 years for a playoff rematch with Tom Brady, and it comes Sunday night in the AFC Championship game. Roethlisberger, playing in the AFC Championship for the 5th time in 13 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is back in the conference title game for the first time since 2010. He missed the regular season game in October with a knee injury. Brady has blazed the Steelers for most of his career, including the 2004 AFC title game in Pittsburgh. Brady is 9-2 all-time against the Steelers with 26 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Roethlisberger is 6th all-time with 13 playoff wins. Brady's next Super Bowl ring would make 5. Roethlisberger has 2. Only Green Bay Packers quarterback Bart Starr has 5 league championships, all before the 1970 AFL-NFL merger. The Dolphins and Chiefs chose to take away big plays, dropping into deep zones to invite the Steelers to feed running back Le'Veon Bell. Bell, who had 30 carries for 170 yards Sunday night at Kansas City, rushed for 1,268 yards in 12 regular season games and became the centerpiece of Todd Haley's offense after returning from a 4-game suspension. The Steelers had 8 games with 100-plus yards, and Roethlisberger went to Bell at the start of the playoffs to prepare his running back to be a bell cow in January. Bell, averaging 168.5 rushing yards this postseason, set a franchise record for rushing yards against Miami in the wildcard round, then broke it Sunday night at Arrowhead Stadium. Patriots coach Bill Belichick felt the Steelers, who survived the divisional playoff with 6 field goals and no touchdowns, could have scored 40 at Kansas City. Belichick is known for scheming to take away the best player on the opposing team. There's no doubt that player is Bell entering Sunday's game. Bell can put pressure on any defense and is a gifted receiver, but earning the chance to play for a 7th Lombardi trophy might come only if the Steelers can contain Brady. Brady faced regular pressure from the Texans out of a 3-4 front, and New England needed 3 touchdowns from running back Dion Lewis, 1 rushing, 1 receiving, and 1 on a return, to advance to the AFC Championship. Pittsburgh was only slightly above average against the run, allowing 100 yards per game, and ranked 16th in the NFL at 242.6 yards per game in the regular season. Brady and Belichick have 4 Super Bowl wins and 6 appearances with the Patriots. Brady began the season serving a 4-game suspension for Deflategate, but returned to the team at an MVP level. The 39-year-old had a 112.2 passer rating with 28 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 12 regular season games. In the Patriots' 27-16 win Week 7 at Heinz Field, Brady was 19 of 26 for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Steelers. Pittsburgh has won 9 consecutive games since a 35-30 loss to the Cowboys on November 13. That was the same date of the Patriots' last loss, 31-24 to the Seattle Seahawks. It's not as if the Patriots are ever lacking for motivation, but I feel like Antonio Brown's live stream of Mike Tomlin's post-game speech was an unforced error and did not help the cause. But simply put, I believe that New England is the better team here, and they have never lost to the Steelers at home with Tom Brady as their starting quarterback. Look for him to try to exploit a young Pittsburgh secondary, and that will be the difference. I don't really see this game going into OTMF with all due respect, but I do agree with you. I also have New England winning. My final score, 28-23, New England over Pittsburgh, which would make 9 Super Bowl appearances for New England. And I forgot to mention Pittsburgh got to this point. They beat the Miami Dolphins 30-12 in the wild card round, and then 18-16 over the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round, while the Patriots had a rough time with the Houston Texans for the most part, but they got through them 34-16. Now then, MF, you talk about how you've got a fever pitch with your 2184 crew. I have I've got a group of friends on my own. Fletcher already left. Okay. I didn't even know. But luckily Michael Bullock is here. But yeah, like Emmett was saying, he felt a level of excitement with his 2184 crew. I have a level of excitement of my own when it comes to a group of people that I know, and that being my church family. I mean, I haven't seen them since last Sunday, and I know when I see them on Sunday, I know they're going to be they're all going to be amped up for this championship game. And I mean, but all I know is I like New England to win it 28-23 and get to their 9th Super Bowl in what I think will be has the potential to be a 5-star Super Bowl if it comes down to it, with Green Bay and New England on my end, whereas MF had Atlanta and New England going at it. So, but I don't. It honestly doesn't matter. Whichever two teams come out of this, I really feel it could go down as one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time because we got 4 dynamo offenses, 4 dynamo quarterbacks with Rodgers, Ryan, Roethlisberger, Brady. No matter which two come out of it, I have reason to believe it's going to be one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. No question about it. All right, so Michael Bullock, we're going to bring you in now. We got to catch you up here since you're coming in pretty late here. We're gonna have you get it. We're gonna get your thoughts on the coaching carousel in the NFL. I'm sure you've heard of all the moves. So what are the standout moves to you when it comes to the NFL coaching carousel? So Michael Bullock, let's get you in here now.
Yeah, when it comes to the coaching carousel, I mean we've had like a whole bunch of young new coaches getting hired. I mean some of the ones that really stand out to me. I mean Vance Joseph going to become the head coach of the Denver Broncos. You got Anthony Lynn, who was your interim coach, and now he's going to be the coach of the now Los Angeles Chargers when it comes to that. And speaking of your Bills, Sean McDermott, they get another defensive guy to be the coach of your team, and I don't know how you feel about Sean McDermott, but hey, at least he won't create any distraction like the Ryan brothers did. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And yeah, of course, the 49ers. I mean, eventually they're going to hire Kyle Shanahan to be the new head coach once the Falcons season is over. So yeah, I mean it's been one heck of a coaching carousel. So now the thing is, who could be on the hot seat come next season? I think it's got to be some of the names that come to my mind. I would have to say Todd Bowles for the Jets, and maybe Jim Caldwell for the Lions, and maybe Chuck Pagano of the Colts. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the coaching carousel will go next season. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. So let's move on to the next topic.
Jabril Peppers declaring for the NFL draft. What do you think of that, Michigan guy?
Yeah, I mean, I like it, and I mean, I think there's going to be a team that is going to need some help at linebacker, and I think Jabril Peppers will help whoever drafts him, and he was in the running for the Heisman Trophy, but of course he didn't even win it, and he's one of the reasons why the Michigan Wolverines had such a good season and almost made it to the college football playoff. So Jabril Peppers is going to be something to keep an eye on. So I don't know who could use him, but we'll see come draft night.
Then the UConn women's basketball team breaking their own record for the longest winning streak. They've now won 92 games in a row after they knocked off Tulsa this past Tuesday night. And what else is there to say about them, Bullock?
There's nothing else to say. I mean, you always want. I mean, I gotta say this right now, and I don't know how you feel. Gino Auriemma is the greatest college coach of all time, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to college basketball. I mean, yeah, you got your Dean Smiths and you got your Roy Williams, you got your Mike Krzyzewski. I get it, but what Gino Auriemma has done for this UConn women's franchise. I mean, they keep losing these great players to the WNBA when it comes to the draft, and you keep thinking, oh yeah, this team's eventually going to start going downward. No, they just continue to trend upward, and it continues as of this day. And yeah, and I mean, so many national championships, and I'm going to go on the record as saying this: UConn's winning another national championship until I see someone that can challenge them. I just don't see how UConn cannot be the favorite to win the national championship. And like I said, Gino Auriemma, to me, is the greatest college basketball coach of all time.
Amen to that. I mean, when it comes to the women's side, absolutely. So,
I'm saying overall.
that's bold, man. That's very bold.
I mean,
but then again,
look at what he's done for this UConn women's team. I mean,
of course, 11.
None of the men's team could. Have been able to do what this UConn women's team has done.
Very true. That's very true. 11 national championships, including the last 4 in a row. Looking to make it 5 in a row this upcoming year.
Oh, they will make it 5 in a row. That's how far I'm going.
Yeah, and MF and I said the same thing when we talked about it. So, and we're wondering, is this team ever going to lose the game again?
Well, until I see a team that can challenge them, I'm going to say no.
And that challenge probably won't come until probably around the regionals or maybe even the Final Four when it comes to the tournament. So, depending on who gets there. So, or as we call it nowadays, the UConn Invitational, because that's basically what it's been the last 4 years.
Yeah. Or maybe you should say since Gino Auriemma became the coach of that team.
Yes, and then there's also we're not really gonna have you get into the boxing stuff because we don't do the boxing stuff. MF covered it, the Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor situation, and then the Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I know you're not a boxing guy, so we'll skip those. And now we're gonna get your thoughts about the conference championships. We were just wrapping that up. You don't have to go down the schematics. I already ran down every schematic there is to run down when it comes to the games. I just want a quick thought from you, Bullock, as far as both of these games are concerned, starting with the NFC Championship with the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons, the final time ever in the Georgia Dome.
Boy, this is going to be an offensive shootout. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, the Falcons with that offense, of course, with Matt Ryan, the eventual one of the candidates for MVP, and with Julio Jones, and then of course Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. I mean, I can go on, and then of course with the defense led by Vic Beasley. But what can you say about Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers offense? I mean, it's just been. Ever since Aaron Rodgers made that statement that they were going to run the table, this team hasn't lost since then. Man, this is going to be a tough one for me to call, but I mean, I love the Falcons and I love their offense, but I have to go with the hot hand here. I gotta go with the Green Bay Packers to win this one. I'm going to say my final score is going to be, I'm going to say 38-34. Green Bay beats Atlanta, moves on to the Super Bowl for the first time since the 2010 season when they won Super Bowl 45. So, yeah, so that's pretty much all I could say. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have another solid game. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So now let's go to the one that, of course, I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm. The AFC Championship game. The Pittsburgh Steelers squaring off against your New England Patriots, Bullock. I mean, Fletcher's 2184 crew's up in arms. My church family's up in arms. I know you and your family and other friends of yours. I know they're all up in arms. I'm sure you've probably got something big planned for that game. So
Oh yeah, we are. We do have plans.
I figured you would. So
I'm going. Me and my family, we're going to Lucky's to watch it.
nice. We had a. I remember when we had our boys' night out there back in the summer. So
Yeah. I mean, of course, there is that new Buffalo Wild Wings that opened, but there's no way I'm going there since it's probably going to be crazy since it just opened.
absolutely. So, all right, my man. Pittsburgh, New England. Both teams are vying for their 9th Super Bowl appearance here. Both teams have been to 8 previous Super Bowls. So, big question is, who's going to make it number 9? Is it going to be the Steelers, or is it going to be your Patriots one more time?
Well, I mean, I think this is going to be another close one here. I mean, the thing is, I mean, Pittsburgh. I mean, somehow they did win that game against Kansas City, but they did it by kicking field goals, and that's not going to get the job done against a team like the Patriots, especially with Tom Brady. So, and the thing is, I mean, what's going to happen? I mean, the young secondary, I think, is definitely going to be tested for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I mean, and the thing that's been going on lately with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, not just with the Antonio Brown Facebook Live saga, but there's been a flu bug going around with that team. So we'll see how it'll affect them come Sunday evening. But ever since 2007, Mike Tomlin's first year, Tom Brady has thrown 19 touchdown passes and no picks in that in the meetings against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the last loss for the Patriots against the Steelers, you have to go back to the 2011 season. And here's the thing: when it comes to Big Ben, his numbers, I mean, they're good at home but when it comes to on the road, he's thrown 9 touchdown passes but 8 interceptions. So to me, in the end, I have to go with the New England Patriots to win this one. I'm going to say 31-24 is going to be my final score. Patriots will move on to their 9th Super Bowl and will take on the Green Bay Packers. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So Florio, let's move on.
And we're going to move on now to the first of our bi-weekly NBA Power Rankings. It's the other half of our double main event here on this, what you could call pseudo season premiere of Strictly Sports, seeing that the news topics are back in the fold. So now when it comes to these NBA Power Rankings, I'm going to be real honest with you. My number 1 is a clear no-brainer. That's all I can say on that. Number 1 is a no-brainer. But 2 through 10, I am not going to lie, it is going to be one hell of a chore. Let me just say that right now. So, we shall do our best. So, with that being said, let's just get into it. So, all right, we're gonna start off with at number 10. Let's see. My number 10, if I'm gonna be real honest, I will probably go with the Memphis Grizzlies at my number 10. They won tonight against Sacramento, 5-5 in the last 10 games, 26-19 overall. They currently sit 3rd in the Southwest Division. And they're having an okay year. That's all I can say on that. I believe they'd be in the mix if they were in. Yeah, they've been little up, little down. They beat Sacramento tonight, so they're going to be going up against Houston tomorrow, and then they're going to be off for 3 days, and then go back at it on Wednesday night when they host the Toronto Raptors, and then next Friday they go to Portland, and then after that they go to Utah, and then they go to Phoenix, and then Denver, and then at Oklahoma City, and that's it until our next NBA rankings in 2 weeks, which will be on our February 3rd show, which will also be our, well, maybe it won't be, because I mean 2 weeks from now is going to be our big Super Bowl preview edition of the show. So I'm sure we're probably going to.
Yeah, I think we should just dedicate that to just all about the Super Bowl.
I believe we did that last year. So
I think we've done it in years past.
I don't know. I'll have to look into those archives, but I definitely remember last year we did no power rankings. So it'll be interesting to see what Derek and the powers that be have to say about that. So we could probably be looking at February 10th as possibly our next NBA power rankings. So that's all I can say on that. So I got the Memphis Grizzlies basically at number 10. So Bullet, do you agree with that, or do you have somebody else?
Yeah, I gotta go with the Memphis Grizzlies as my number 10 as well. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to number 9.
Number 9. Well, I was going to have this team a little higher, but honestly, I got to knock them down just a little bit. I'm going to be real honest with you, mainly because of the last 10 and the whole 9 yards. Even though this is a first place team, they haven't really been playing like one as of late. My number 9 is going to be the Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors are my number 9. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 5-5 in the last 10 games. They're 28-15. They only lead the Atlantic Division by a game and a half over Bullock Celtics. And I'll tell you right now, Bullock Celtics are in my rankings. They're going to be a little bit higher up because they've been playing some good ball as of late. They got to work on their rebounding, but Toronto, they're second in 3-point percentage. They're third in points scored, and they're fifth in field goal percentage. So that's very good numbers right there. But they have lost 2 in a row against, including tonight. They got beat down by the Charlotte Hornets, 113-78, and also coming off of a 94-89 loss in Philadelphia. They've lost 2 in a row after they had previously won 3 in a row. Actually, no, 4 in a row, rather. They were on a 4-game winning streak before those back-to-back losses to Philly and Charlotte. 2 of those against the Brooklyn Nets, one of them against Bullock Celtics, and the other against the Knicks. So very interesting there. They next play on Sunday against the Phoenix Suns at home, and then they host San Antonio on Tuesday, at Memphis on Wednesday, home against Milwaukee next Friday. Sunday the 29th, they're home against Orlando. On the 31st, they host New Orleans. And then they go to Boston on the 1st of February. And then on the 3rd of February, they're at Orlando. So yeah, that's basically all I can say on that. So my number 9, I have to go with the Toronto Raptors. So Bullock, how about it?
Yeah, my number 9, it is the Toronto Raptors as well. So yeah, there's nothing more to say. So let's move along in these power rankings to number 8.
Okay. Number 8, when it comes to this installment of the NBA Power Rankings. Okay. I know this one is all right. I just got to check the percentages here. my top two are no-brainers. Actually, my top two are no-brainers, 1 and 2. Well, especially more so number 1 than 2. But this is a bit of a toss-up here. My number 8, even though I've liked the body of work of this team, this is mainly because of the last 10 and the whole 9 yards. My number 8, I got to go with the Houston Rockets. I do like their overall body of work. They're 33-13. They're 2 games behind San Antonio in the Southwest Division. They have lost 1 in a row. They lost their last game. They're 6-4 in the last 10. 2nd in points scored, 6th in 3-point shooting, 7th in field goal percentage, 8th in total rebounds. They're ranking the top 10 in all those categories. I mean, they were playing some really good ball. I mean, they started the new year winning the first 5 games of this calendar year, but since then they've lost 4 of their last 6, which is not good, including tonight to the Golden State Warriors, 125-108. After opening the year with wins against Washington, Oklahoma City, Orlando, Toronto, and Charlotte, they have since gone down, losing to Minnesota, also losing to Memphis. They beat Brooklyn, but they also lost at Miami. They beat Milwaukee, but they lose to Golden State tonight. They go to Memphis tomorrow, and then they go to Milwaukee on Monday. They're at Boston on Wednesday, in Philadelphia on next Friday, and then Sunday the 29th, they're at Indiana. They end the month at home against Sacramento, and then they host Atlanta on the 2nd of February on a Thursday night on TNT, and then they host Chicago on the 3rd. So yeah. Had there been more W's, I definitely would have had them a lot higher. But because of the fact that they've lost 4 of their last 6 after that 5-0 start to this calendar year, I got to knock them down here. So I got to go with the Houston Rockets at number 8. So I don't know what Bullock thinks. That good with you, Bullock, or do you have somebody else?
Yeah, that's good with me. I mean, I do agree. I mean, if I got to go with the Houston Rockets as well. And like you said, they've lost 4 of their last 6. I mean, if they had some more wins here, I mean, they definitely would have been much higher. But because of what you said, that 4-6 in their last 10, they do have to be punished. So Houston Rockets are my number 8. So there's really nothing more to be said. So let's move on to number 7.
I think you misunderstood. I said they have lost 4 of their last 6. So they're not 4-6 in their last 10. They're 6-4 in their last 10, but they have lost 4 of their last 6. But at least you agree with me on that. So I don't know how over this next one's going to be, but I got to do it anyway. This may come. I know this is not going to be a popular pick, but I got to be honest here. I gotta go by what I've seen. And it's mainly the last 10
And be the
games.
man who tells it like it is.
That's right. The last 10 games are a major difference maker when it comes to it. And then there's also the fact of there's also winning streaks as well. So even though this team won their last game, they're only 6-4 in their last 10 games. I'm sorry, I got to do it. You're reigning and defending NBA champion, Cleveland Cavaliers, number 7. 30-11. They lead the Central Division by 8 games over Indiana, but they're only 6-4 in their last 10 games. And they did win their last game, which was against the Phoenix Suns on Thursday night. They've been a little up and down so far in 2017. I mean, They opened the year with a win against New Orleans. They lost to my Chicago Bulls. They won at Brooklyn. They won at Phoenix. But then they lost 2 in a row against Utah and Portland on the 10th and 11th of this month on back-to-back nights. And that doesn't sit well with me. They beat up on Sacramento. But then on Monday, they got holiday hammed big time by the Golden State Warriors, 126-91. But they rebounded with a nice win against the Suns on Thursday night, 118-103. Next game is tonight, and it's the season premiere of the ABC Saturday night NBA game. And what a game they got coming up. They're going to be hosting the San Antonio Spurs. Possible finals preview there, if you think about it. And then Monday, they're at New Orleans. Wednesday, they host Sacramento. Next Friday, they host Brooklyn. The 29th, they host Oklahoma City as part of the Sunday afternoon game on ABC. And then they go to Dallas on the 30th at the end of the month. And then they host Minnesota on February 1. So, and then that's it. So, that's it for the next 2 weeks. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, LeBron and company have been fun to watch, but I just haven't been impressed with their body of work as of late. So, especially the Golden State loss. That's the one that really did it for me. So, I know this team should be at least in the top 5, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. Not in my good conscience, especially with the last 10, with the last 10 being a major factor when it comes to our criteria of power rankings. So that's all I can say with that. Number 7, Cleveland Cavaliers reluctantly. So Bullock, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reluctantly agree with you on that. The Cleveland Cavaliers are my number 7 as well. So, but I'll tell you this right now: if they beat San Antonio and they do well in the next few games before our next power rankings, they'll definitely be back in the top 5. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to number 6.
Number 6. All right. There will probably have to be some ties along the way, but because we got a lot of teams that have been playing some good ball, a lot of teams that are 7-3 in their last 10 games, and okay. All right. So when it comes to it, number 6. I will probably have a tie here at number 6, or do I? I believe I do, actually. And these are 2 teams, 2 of the many teams that are 7-3 in the last 10. One of them, I'm pleased to say, is your Boston Celtics, Bullock. 26-16, a game and a half behind Toronto in the Atlantic Division. 7-3 in the last 10 games. They did, however, lose their last game. So that's a factor. And my other number 6 is the Indiana Pacers. 22-19. I know they're 8 games behind behind Cleveland, but they've won 2 in a row and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. So let's get into the Celtics first. They're 7th in points scored. They're 8th in 3-point shooting, but they're 17th in field goal percentage, and they're also 28th in total rebounds. So that's definitely a little bit of a downside. But other than that, I've been mostly impressed with the Celtics' body of work. They've done very well this year. I mean, they've only lost 2 games all year in 2017. But they lost at home to the Knicks, and that doesn't sit well with me, if I'm going to be real honest with you. If it wasn't for that loss, they most definitely would have been in the top 5. But that loss to the Knicks definitely hurt them. They've had a couple of 3-game winning streaks during this 2017 year. At the start of the year, they had wins against Utah, Philly, and New Orleans. And then they lost at Toronto, and then they won 3 in a row against the likes of Washington, Atlanta, and Charlotte before that bad loss to the Knicks on Wednesday night. They got the Blazers coming in, the Portland Trail Blazers tonight. And then they go to Washington on Tuesday. They host Houston in a power ranking implication game on Wednesday. Host Orlando next Friday. At Milwaukee next Saturday. And then on the 30th, as part of a special Monday night TNT game, they're going to be hosting Detroit on the 30th. And then they host Toronto. Huge game there on the 1st. And then on Friday the 3rd, they're going to be hosting the Los Angeles Lakers on as part of that ESPN Friday night doubleheaders. So I'm liking the body of work, but I need to see a little bit more from them. I mean, that Knick loss was a killer. If it wasn't for that, this team most definitely would have been in the top 5. But I'm sorry, I cannot in good conscience put them there. So so they're my first number 6 rather. The Indiana Pacers. Boston Celtics rather. Indiana Pacers are next. And again into their body of work in the whole 9 yards. They've won 2 in a row, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. 22-19 overall. They're 9th in field goal percentage, 10th in points scored, 11th in 3-point shooting, but they're 27th in total rebounds. So they need to work on the rebounding. Two in a row. But they were against the likes of New Orleans and Sacramento. They're currently losing right now to the Lakers. So I think it's a good thing I kept them at numbers. I put them at number 6. They're going to be going up against Utah. And I'll tell you right now, the Utah Jazz, they're in my top 5. Heck, they're in my top 3, if I'm going to be real honest with you. I never thought I'd hear myself say that, but they've been playing some damn good ball as of late. Utah is going to be tonight, and then they host the New York Knicks on Monday night. They're at Minnesota on Thursday, home against Sacramento next Friday, home against Houston on the 29th. And then from there, at Orlando on the 1st of February, and then on the 3rd, they're at Brooklyn. So with that being said, code number 6 is Boston Celtics, Indiana Pacers. Michael Bullock, how about it?
Yeah, I agree with you. The Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers, they're my number 6 as well. So let's jump right into the top 5.
Top 5. Yeah. Now this is where it's going to start to get dicey, but I gotta do what's right here. So number 5. Let's see. Yeah. I think my number 5 is going to be a standalone number 5. Just make sure I have the correct body of work here. Number 5, I believe I have the Los Angeles Clippers here. Let me just double check that. Yes. It is. I think this is where I have my other tie here. This is 5. So yeah, 1 and 2 are no brainers. Let me see. Yeah, I have another tie at number 5. One team is 7-3 in their last 10 games. The other is 8-2 in their last 10 games. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Clippers and the Atlanta Hawks. They're my co-number 5s. Clippers 29-15, 8.5 games behind the Warriors in the Pacific Division. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They did lose their last game. 5th in 3-point shooting. 6th in both field goal percentage and points scored. They're 12th in rebounds. Playing some good ball. Lost to the Timberwolves on Thursday night. If they didn't lose that game, they most certainly would have been in the top 3 because they were on a 7-game winning streak before losing to the dud Timberwolves. Granted, it was a close game, but you lost to the Timberwolves. That does not sit well with me. If it wasn't for that, this team, you easily could have made an argument for this team to be number 1, in all honesty. Because they had won their previous 7 games in a row. But that Minnesota loss, I got to punish it for that one. They're in the midst of a long road trip, a 4-game road trip. They're at Denver tonight, Saturday night, and then Monday they're at Atlanta. Tuesday they're in Philadelphia. Next Saturday night they'll be playing the ABC Saturday night game against the Golden State Warriors in Golden State. Actually, they're going to be on a 5-game road trip because then they're going to be going to Phoenix on the 1st, and then February 2nd they return home when they host the Golden State Warriors as part of the NBA on TNT Thursday night doubleheaders. So, man, if it wasn't for that bad loss to Minnesota, this team would have been easily top 2, maybe even number 1. But you lose to a dud team like that. I don't care if it's a close game or decisive. You lost to the Timberwolves, one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, at 15-28. That's not going to get it done for me. So, and my other one is going to be the Atlanta Hawks. Even though they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, I mean, we got some hot teams right now. So they've only won 1 game in a row. They're on a 1-game winning streak. That was tonight. They're 14th in field goal percentage, 19th in points scored, 16th in rebounds, and 23rd in 3-point percentage. They did win tonight against my Chicago Bulls, 102-93. And this is after they came off of a bad loss of their own, getting blown up, getting holiday hand by the Detroit Pistons. They had previously won 2 games in a row against Milwaukee and New York. They beat Chicago tonight. They host Philadelphia tonight. Then they got the Clippers coming in on Monday, at Chicago Wednesday, home to Washington next Friday, home to New York on the 29th, and then at Miami on February 1, and then at Houston February 2nd as part of the NBA on TNT Thursday night doubleheaders. So no question about this. Co-number 5s, Los Angeles Clippers, and the Atlanta Hawks. So, Bolek, how about it?
Who was it that you had as your number 5?
The Clippers and the Hawks.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Clippers and the Hawks, they're my number 5 as well. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to number 4.
Number 4. Okay. My number 4, team that's 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've won 4 in a row. It's the Washington Wizards, believe it or not. They're 23-19. They're a game and a half behind Atlanta in the Southeast Division. They're 4th in field goal percentage, 10th in both 3-point shooting and points scored. They do have to work on the rebounds, though. They're 26th in that department. But 4-game winning streak for this team, and 7-3 in the last 10 games. Their last loss was to Bolek Celtics on January 11th, a 117-108 loss in TD Garden. But since then, they've won 4 in a row. They won, and 3 of those wins were at home. They beat Philadelphia. They won at home against Portland. They won at home against Memphis. And on Thursday night, they won in New York in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. They go to Detroit against the Pistons tonight. And then they go to Charlotte on Monday. And then they got the Celtics coming in on Tuesday. And then they go to Atlanta next Friday. They are at New Orleans on the 29th, and then New York comes back in on at the end of the month on the 31st. And then February 2nd, they're at home against the Lakers. So very impressed with this team's body of work as of late. So number 4, Washington Wizards. How about it, Bullock? Bullock, are you with us?
Oh, I'm here. I didn't even know it was my turn.
Yeah, I got Atlanta at I got the Washington Wizards at number 4.
Yeah, I got the Washington Wizards as my number 4 as well. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to number 3.
Now I'm going back and forth with this number 3. We got 2 teams, both at 7-3 in their last 10 games. One team is currently on a 2-game winning streak. The other is on a 5-game winning streak. But the team that's won 2 in a row has the better record. So I really don't know how to approach this, but I think I got to go by the overall records here. So my number 3, and I know if he's watching, I know he's got to be very happy when I say this. My number 3, it's our good friend Al Braderson's team, the Utah Jazz, if you can believe that. 28-16. They lead the Northwest Division by 3 games. They're currently on a 5-game winning streak. 7-3 in their last 10 games. They rank 6th in 3-point shooting, 8th in field goal percentage, 23rd in total rebounds, but they're 27th in points scored. They do need to work on that, but they have won 5 in a row. And very impressive, to say the very least. And they've beaten, get this lineup, they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers on January 10th, the defending champs. They also beat Detroit at home, Holiday hammed them. They knocked off Orlando, won at Phoenix on Monday, and they won tonight in Dallas against the Mavs. So very impressive. They host Indiana. They're going to be at home against Indiana tonight. They host Oklahoma City on Monday, and then they're at Denver on Tuesday, host the Lakers on Thursday as part of the Thursday night doubleheader. They're home against Memphis next Saturday, and then they host Milwaukee on February 1. So it was a tough choice, but I got to go with the overall records and the whole 9 yards. So my number 3, it is the Utah Jazz. So Michael Bullock, what do you think?
All right, so yeah, my number 3, it is the Utah Jazz. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say on it. So let's move on to number 2.
Yeah, no question about it. Who I have at number 2. They're also 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've won 2 in a row, but it's the overall record that counts. It's the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs, number 2, 33-9. They lead the Southwest Division by 2 games over the Rockets. They're number 1 in 3-point percentage, 2nd in field goal percentage, 7th in points scored. But they are 21st in total rebounds, so they got to work on that. But 2-game winning streak. They beat in Minnesota and Denver during that time. They're at Cleveland as part of that ABC Saturday night game tonight. They're at Brooklyn Monday, at Toronto Tuesday, at New Orleans next Friday. I think this might be that infamous. Well, actually, no, it's not the rodeo road trip. I think that's coming later in the year. And then February 2nd, they're at home against Philadelphia. So how this team keeps doing what they're doing, even without Tim Duncan, after he announced his retirement, I mean, so impressive. I mean, credit it to Greg Popovich and the whole 9 yards. So really nothing left for me to say. Number 2, San Antonio Spurs. Bullock, how about it?
Yeah, number 2 is definitely the San Antonio Spurs. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to number 1. I think we can agree on who we have at number 1.
Oh, no doubt about it. This was an absolute no-brainer. Number one, you know who it is. It's the Golden State Warriors. 6-game winning streak, 9-1 in their last 10 games. Best record in the game, 37-6. They lead the Pacific Division by 8.5 games over the Clippers. They're first in field goal percentage, first in points scored, third in three-point shooting, fifth in total rebounds. Now, if that doesn't sound like a number one resume, I don't know what does. Currently on a 6-game winning streak. Their last loss was 2 weeks ago at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. But since then, they've won at Sacramento. They won at home against Miami, won at home against Detroit, holiday hammed Cleveland on Monday night in that finals rematch, and also got some revenge for Christmas Day. Also, holiday hammed the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they holiday hammed the Houston Rockets tonight. They're at Orlando, and that's the first of a 4-game road trip. They're at Orlando on Sunday, at Miami on Monday, at Charlotte on Wednesday on ESPN as part of that Wednesday night doubleheader. And then they host the Clippers next Saturday on that ABC Saturday night game of the week right there. And then home against Charlotte on February 1. And then they're at the Clippers on February 2nd. So that's it. I mean, they obviously want to get that bad taste of last year out of their mouth, and right now they're on their way to possibly doing that. So no question about it. Number one with a bullet, it is the Golden State Warriors. Bullet, take it home.
Golden State Warriors, number one. So, yeah, let's just put a bow on this edition of Strictly Sports for this week.
Yeah, and we'll get into our shout-outs. Bullet.
And I will kick it off with the shout-outs.
Yep, and then I'll set up the future content from there. So it's all yours, man.
All right. Of course, shout-outs to all of our tremendous fans out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this, Ridiculously Raw, or the Cerebral Smack Talk. We really appreciate your support, and we thank you all so very much for tuning in tonight. And, of course, shout-out to our the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, and, of course, to Kevin Woodson and the rest of the Woodson family. And, of course, our other super fans, Matt Ward and Jason Hicksonbaugh. And, of course, shout-outs to our friends for high school days. You guys know who you are. And, of course, to our local personalities from 6, 10, and 12. And, of course, our personalities from ESPN, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, MLB Network, Fox Sports, and all out there. And, of course, to Stata Sorrell and Lindsay McCormick, and, of course, our friends from the Roadshow, of course, the former co-host Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and then, of course, the 3 current people, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. So that's going to do it for me. So until Monday night for an all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw, which is, of course, the final Raw before the Royal Rumble. So until then, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it a Fortune 4 style. Bye for now. Enjoy Championship Sunday, everybody. So, with that being said, Florio, take us home.
Will do, Bullock. For a special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our projects, whatever they are, as over as they are, we appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world, of course. Special shout out to the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson, and her family. Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Our other First Ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. Our other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Bradison, and Rob Parsons. And, of course, Doodle MF Michael Fletcher, who was not feeling well, so he had to leave the show a little early. But I'm glad he stuck around for as long as he did. Major shout out to MF. And, of course, Derek Ferreira. Check out his YouTube channel, Boston Sports Fan 84. So for his latest installments on that. And of course, all of our personalities from channels 6, 10, and 12, ESPN, Fox Sports 1, NHL Network, MLB Network, NFL Network, NBA TV, the whole 9 yards there. My personal shout outs, Lindsey McCormick, Stata Sorrell, Julie Alexandria, Julianne Fake Soto, um, Kelly Nash, Tony Collins, and Chantel McCabe, and the whole 9 yards on that. And our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, Michaela Johnson, former co-host Megan Mooney and Mary Larson, and last but certainly not least, my church family at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. If you need a church home, check them out. Exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning service, 10 a.m. Wednesday Bible study at 7. The whole 9 yards on that. So they're wonderful over there. I love them to death, and look forward to seeing them on Sunday. I know they're going to be very highly anticipative of the of their New England Patriots. I mean, damn near all of them are Patriot fans. I'm practically outnumbered. I know they're all going to be up in arms about the big game on Sunday nights. So we'll see what happens, and that'll do it for my shout outs. Of course, next time we'll be with you will be Monday night for another installment of Ridiculously Raw, the go home edition of Raw before the Royal Rumble. Very exciting indeed. It'll be at Cleveland at the Q, the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. The only thing I know is Brock Lesnar will be there. But no, I'm sorry. Bill Goldberg will be there. But who knows if Lesnar will be there? Maybe he will be. I don't know. We'll see. But Bill Goldberg is slated for that show. The final Monday Night Raw before the Royal Rumble. Very much looking forward to that. That's following Raw Monday night, Ridiculously Raw. Tuesday, over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, it'll be Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll review the final SmackDown Live before the Royal Rumble. The only thing on that show that we know is going to be Randy Orton squaring off against Luke Harper. And then MF will have his Mikey's Mindset on ROH, Lucha Underground, and some other things. And then next Friday night, another installment of Strictly Sports. The only thing that I can think of for that show right now would be NHL Power Rankings. I don't know what else is on tap. I'm sure Derek will have the docket ready come maybe Sunday or Monday night, I'm sure. And then I'll report it to you at the end of our show on Monday. And then next weekend, we will have our preview for the Royal Rumble. We should have that next Saturday. And then next Sunday, of course, I'll host the preview show since it is a joint effort of Raw and SmackDown. So I will be running the preview show on the Saturday, and then on the 29th, the Sunday following the event, MF over on his channel, Bracefan 95, will have the recap of the 30th annual Royal Rumble. Very much looking forward to that. So that's it. So until Monday night for another all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Floyo here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Michael Fletcher, Dee Woodson, and Derek Ferrera. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the NFL Conference Championship games on Sunday. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For now, Anthony Florio. So long.